The Housemaid. Is it movie worthy? The movie's coming out. Is it worth it being a movie? Is the question. Heck yeah, it's worth it. Heck yeah, I love this book. The Housemaid by Freida McFadden is the first of a thriller series. There's The Housemaid is the first one, and then the second one is The Housemaid's Secret, and then the third one and last one that just came out is The Housemaid is Watching. I've read all three. So I'm going to start with this one. So again, The Housemaid, I read some of it and then I listened to some of it on Audible. So I loved the book. If you like thrillers, this is a thriller. And if you're a thriller connoisseur, some things, they're going to be, you can kind of see it coming, but some things you may not see coming. And so that's why I like this book, because there were some twists and turns in there. And I was like, okay, Freida, I see you. You got me on that one. So I enjoyed it. There are some points, and I'll mention later, that I thought were just a little over the top. But for the most part, love the book. Should be a movie, hands down. Can't wait. The book is centered around Millie. Millie is a 27-year-old. She's straight out of prison. Straight out of prison. This review will not have any spoilers. I'm not going to give out the end, any parts of the book, but I'll just say she's straight out of prison, and she was in prison for 10 years. So just, kind of wrap your head around what she could have done that would land her in prison for 10 years. So she's just getting out, and she's homeless. She's homeless. She's sleeping out of her car, and she needs a job. She needs a place to stay, and she really doesn't have anybody to turn to. So I'm a recruiter by day. So I know if they run you, girl, they run that social security number, they're gonna run it all the way through there, up and around and back again. And hey, by the time they're finished, especially if you've done a little something, you may have a job, you may not. So Millie is hoping that she can get a job, find a place to stay, and they won't run her social security. Run her background. So she finds something, and she finds a position with the Winchesters as a housemaid. So the Winchesters, hey, the lady of the house, her name is Nina, and she's the wife to the businessman who dotes on his wife. He makes sure that she has everything she needs. And Millie looks around and she's like, man, the wife's got it. She's got it made in the shade. I mean, she's wearing the finest. She's designer this, designer that. She's driving the finest. She lives in this gazillion dollar penthouse and still doesn't need to work a job and still has a housemaid. So she's like, man, must be nice. So she gets settled in. But the first thing she notices is that she's in this gazillion dollar penthouse with 9 bedrooms or something, 9 rooms, 9 bedrooms. And they've put her up in this kind of cubby hole, attic kind of room. And, Millie's like, hey, I was sleeping in my car. There's a bed in here. I'm over it. I'll take it. So, she lives with them in this cubby room. She does notice, however, that the lock to the room is on the outside of the door. So should it ever be locked for any reason, she would not be able to get out if there was ever an occasion. So that's the first thing she notices. And she notices that, Mrs. Winchester, Nina, is, starting to lie about things here and there, showing signs of being a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. The daughter seems to be like she's, I don't know, one of the children of the corn. So, but, she notices her husband is fine as all get out. I imagine like a Bradley Cooper type. And, Millie she's your 20-something that you would see in Target, that maybe's freshly out of the gym, a little rustled, but, if she were to put on some makeup, she would be a baddie. So, but Millie is aware that you know, she's not a bad looking girl. So she dumbs it down for the house. You know, she makes sure she has on her glasses and her, you know, her big clothes on. So, you know, that there's no threat. She's not a threat to the happy home or so, even though she notices they're not really happy. They don't seem to have much conversation. They don't seem to be interacting much. But she wants to stay under the radar. She's just going to go run those errands, buddy. Pick that girl up from school, cook, clean, run that vacuum cleaner, and do what she's supposed to do. She's going to keep it in the middle of the road. She's going to stay on the straight and narrow to keep her job and a place to live. But, you know, things start to just get a little funky. And, you know, as I would say, you know, as books go, sometimes the only thing I would not give the book 5 stars for, there are some typical, you know, over the top things to me. One of the characters, who's Enzo, who is the good looking, fine gardener, landscaper. I mean, isn't there a good looking, you know, fine GQ model man that does the landscaping in every movie, book? You know, aren't they all usually fine? And, you know, as they sweat pours down the chest and the sun glistens on their hair is blowing as they use the weed eater. I'm telling you, tell me one that the landscaper isn't fine. Not that we don't appreciate it, but come on, Freida, can we have something a little different? And, you know, I just expected more on that end of it. But, you know, I'm glad he's good looking. I mean, but look, I got a guy. You know, I got a guy that does my lawn. You know, he's okay. He gets the job done. But, you know, he's not a GQ model. So I know they're out there. Do you have one? Do you have a fine landscaper? Let me know if you've got to find one. But here he is. His name is Enzo, and he's Italian. And he's the first one that tells Millie, be careful. The house is dangerous, Millie. Millie, be careful. So, which brings me to my other criticism. I listened to the Audible version. The narrator does an excellent job. Don't get me wrong. And she's used in all of the series. She does a great job. That's my only complaint is with Enzo. Enzo's a man's man. He's muscular. He handles his business. He's, you know, he's about it. He's like the hero type of guy. And his voice does not match that to me. Now, I'm not expecting her to just be a man in her voice, but, you know, that part is a disappointment to me, that he just did not come across the way I pictured him. So nevertheless, the book as a whole is great, worth the movie. Can't wait to see it. Give me your comments. Tell me your thoughts on the book if you've read it. If you haven't checked it out, try to check it out before the movie comes out. There's no date on it yet as to when it's coming out, but it's already in the works. So I can't wait. The other parts, I'll tell you about that in my next video, the next one that comes along, and I'll tell you my thoughts on that one. So, look, I'm new. Could you do me a favor? Subscribe. It doesn't hurt anything to subscribe. I don't have 500,000 subscribers like everybody else. You would be one of my first, so please subscribe if you don't mind, and like, comment. Tell me if you think I'm blowing smoke. You didn't like it at all. You don't even know what I'm talking about. You know, if you have a book you want me to review, any thoughts, I'll take them. I'll respond. Just let me know. Thank you so much for listening. And, you know, peace and joy to the world.